and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. Reflection on the coordination and harmonization of government action in Tajorra. And on the international scene, seizure of $100 million worth of cocaine in Liberia. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. It is in a postcard setting that the members of the government began a two-day retreat that will focus on the harmonization of coherence of government action, arriving early this morning by sea. Prime Minister Mr. Abdul Ghadir Kamil Mohammed and members of the government were welcomed at the port of Tajorra by the prefect of the region Mr. Hassan Dabale and the president of the regional council Mr. Umar Hussein before going directly to the White Sands, the place of their retreat. The work of these 2 days is a logical continuation of the governmental retreat held in Arta from 16 to 17. As a reminder, the government retreat of last year has identified three fundamental axes as levers of action in terms of strengthening the effectiveness and efficiency of government action. It is in this perspective that during the political retreat last September, while welcoming the concrete achievements of this government, the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, did not fail to note the areas to be deepened in the fields of tourism, digital agriculture, and energy. The objective of this retreat is, among other things, to ensure cohesion and better articulation of government action with a view to a common reflection to optimize the results for the benefit of the Djiboutian population. Several themes are retained during this governmental reflection, such as social policy and solidarity, diversification of our service economy, and digital transformation. And now let's listen to the Prime Minister's speech at this occasion.
Je vous souhaite la bienvenue chaleureuse à ce second séminaire gouvernemental.
I wish you a warm welcome to the second governmental seminar that I have taken the initiative to organize in this environment conducive to reflection and exchange. It is an opportunity to further strengthen the understanding of our actions and our commitment in the face of multiple challenges. It responds to the imperative of results and the need for coordination outlined by the President of the Republic himself during the political and social re-entry a few months before the end of the year 2022. This second governmental seminar is an opportunity to critically review together the progress made. After the one organized last year, we had the privilege to welcome the President of the Republic, who had set two major levers around which our government should act. After listening to all these speakers of the first closing days with fruitful exchange and frank debates, something that we must consolidate and mutualize throughout our mission. For this, I take note of increasing the number of governmental retreats and proposing a more appropriate methodology to capitalize on our exchange. Having said this, the highlight of this first day should be the discipline in all areas. We are all aware that the budgetary and financial situation represents important difficulties highlighted by the different speakers. This situation is the result of an international, regional, and health situation, which consequently impacts all our programs and their implementation process. However, we have challenges to meet, that of building the future of this country. The future of Djibouti is digital. The challenge is not to miss opportunities by diversifying our economy as to strengthen our tourism to all these challenges to meet the need for a more resilient society. In a press release document, the Ministry of Interior informs that the day of Sunday, October 9, 2022 will be a holiday, non-working and paid. This holiday corresponds to the Mawlid of our Prophet or the birthday of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Taking this opportunity, the Minister of Interior sends his best wishes of happiness, prosperity and peace to the Djiboutians as well as to the foreign community residing in the Republic of Djibouti. Also, in a press release document, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble, took part in the 6th edition of the World Health Innovation Summit, which is also known in short as WISH 2022, held from 4 October to 6 October in Doha, Qatar, under the theme Healing the Future. The Minister was accompanied by the Ambassador of the Republic to Djibouti, to Qatar, Mr. Dayab Dubad Roble. The opening ceremony was presided over by Her Highness Sheikha Moza bint Nasser Al Misenid, President of the Qatar Foundation for Education, Science and Community Development. In her speech, Sheikha Moza emphasized that the innovative efforts of scientists, doctors, and sectors concerned with health services in the world are indispensable. However, the initiatives are of equal and perhaps greater importance. We need initiatives that motivate individuals and remind them of the responsibilities to themselves and their communities, she stated. The discussions of this edition were structured around 4 main axes: sport, health, disability, and social inclusion, post-COVID-19 legacy, and wellness. It brought together global health experts, policymakers, and innovators in Doha to work towards building a healthier world. In addition, the door was open to various committee members from around the world to attend several sessions virtually. Still on the national scene, the Minister of Communication in charge of Posts and Telecommunications, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, has been in Bucharest, the capital of Romania, since Thursday, 29 September, to take part in the 21st Parliamentary Conference of the International Telecommunication Union, which is also known in short as ITU. At the head of a delegation composed of his technical advisor, Mr. Abdul Rashid Idris Noor, the Director of ICT Development, Mr. Faisal Khaira Shirdan, and the Director of Legal and Communication, Mr. Abdul Aziz Hussein Wabari. The Minister Bahdon went to represent the Republic of Djibouti at the Parliamentary Conference of the International Telecommunication Union, which is held from 26 September to 14 October. On the sidelines of this conference, the Minister had fruitful and promising exchange with several heads of delegations of other countries for the realization of projects of common interest in the Republic of Djibouti. Also, as a part of their official visit, the Sudanese delegation visited the various port infrastructures. Starting with the management company of the Dorale Terminal Port, they were welcomed by the acting general manager, who briefly gave them information on transshipment but also the speed of loading. It was also discussed the performance of the flagship, which is no secret for anyone. The second step was the Dorale Multipurpose Port. The delegation was welcomed by the executives of this port. The visitors were impregnated with the capabilities of this agriculture that makes our country an essential regional hub in the world trade. Last step was the International Free Zone. As soon as they crossed the threshold, made a tour of the new International Free Zone, where they could see the warehouses, sheds, and other parts. Thereafter, the delegation was received by the chairman of the port authorities and the authorities in these areas at PK23, where they were warmly welcomed. This ministerial delegation, led by the Sudanese Minister of Transport, Mr. Hisham Ali Abu Zaid, this time at the heart of the discussions were very specific issues, namely a close collaboration, in this case a transfer of skills and know-how in activities related to the sea, but also the strengthening of trade in the transport of goods through the sea, air, cargo, and by the construction of a railway line between Sudan and Djibouti through Ethiopia in the years to come, whose construction project between Sudan and Ethiopia had already been initiated. Mr. Hadi and Mr. Abu Zaid talked about close cooperation on food security and the establishment of a joint Djibouti-Sudan community for the port, maritime, free zone, and airfields. A brief presentation on the strategic position of our different ports and free zone sites was made to the guests. The National Assembly organized on October 5th and 6th a workshop dedicated to the transcription of parliamentary debates, organizing under the auspices of His Excellency Mr. Muhammad Ali Humad, President of the National Assembly. This workshop was attended by the Secretary General of the Assembly, Mr. Ismail Ulal Boudin, and several experts for the Interparliamentary Union gathered under the PRAN project, which is a project funded by the European Union. In his opening remarks, the Secretary General of the Assembly recalled that the minutes of the debates must follow a series of steps before they can be brought and submitted for signature by the President of the National Assembly. The workshop will discuss these steps to integrate them into a working document that will respect the provisions of the rules of procedure of the Assembly and will define the procedure of the role and work of each. The workshop will focus on sharing best practices in the Parliament of Senegal, Chad, and other parliaments in this region. An important time is dedicated to question and answers. The work will continue also tomorrow. The Ministry of Health, through the COVID-19 Community-Based Immunization Coordination Program, organized a workshop to evaluate and microplan COVID-19 activities. The general objective of this workshop is to improve the vaccination coverage against COVID-19 to reach at least 40% by December 2022, and thus identify the factors that limit vaccination against COVID-19 in the Republic of Djibouti. Present were the Interim Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Mr. Abdelkader Mohamed Garad, the Coordinator for Community-Based Immunization of COVID-19, Dr. Umar Ismail, Mrs. Degha Abu Bakr Hadi, and Guy Mitchell of UNICEF and WHO. During 3 days, and participants will focus on evaluating the whole campaign of activation of the vaccination against COVID-19 carried out in Djibouti to present the performance of the vaccination against COVID-19. Note that participants developed microplans for each region with the aim of accelerating immunization by integrating other primary health care interventions. The Regional Council of Dakhil hosted this morning a workshop on the development of detailed plans for urban development of the city of Dakhil as in the capital in the interior regions. The President of the Regional Council of Dakhil, Mr. Mahad Hussein Ahmed, officials of the decentralized services, representatives of the Ministry in charge of decentralization, and the City of Urban Planning and Housing, as well as the firm Chaos in charge of urban management, took part in this workshop. This launching workshop will be followed by several workshops and field missions in each of the cities that constitute the object of the study. This project responds exactly to the expectations and aspirations of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, in particular the Zero Slums project, restructuring, reworking existing neighborhoods, and having detailed development plans will facilitate the lives of the citizens of the city of Dakhil. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, Elon Musk has changed his mind again. The Telsa boss has finally proposed to Twitter to buy the social network at the price agreed in April, 2 weeks before the expected trial between the two parties on this eventual acquisition. The businessman intends to complete the transaction completed by the purchase agreement of April 25, 2022, according to the terms, wrote his lawyers in a letter addressed to the Californian group on Monday and filed Tuesday with the U.S. Secretary's Regulator, the SEC. Liberian authorities, with the help of the U.S. Bureau of International Narcotics with law enforcement, seized 520 kilograms of cocaine worth an estimated $100 million, the Justice Minister and the U.S. Embassy said Monday. For several years, West Africa has become a transit zone for drugs produced in Latin America and destined for Europe. The National Drug Enforcement Agency, DAA, confirmed the two arrests, saying that other complaints were still at large. They, however, did not confirm the information shared on social networks that the drugs were stored in containers of frozen fish. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you once again for joining us. Please take care. Thank you.